Make sure you can. Welcome to Truth and Transparency. We have a little pop-up chit chat live featuring bedtime stories with Bella Lugosi. We're going to be talking about Delphi. Again, we're on the road. Join us as we chit chat. I got some questions. So, again, join in. We'll get started here in just a couple seconds.
Do you want to test it to see if you can hear?
Yeah, you can hear.
Okay, good. Thank God.
I did a test.
You did?
Oh, yeah, girl.
Okay, perfect. Okay, hi. Everybody.
Again, come on in, guys. Come on
this
in.
Literally says it started 39 seconds ago.
Oh, see, it's all over it.
And it's so fresh.
Yeah, it's 11-second delay. Wow.
Fresh is so fresh. Okay. What a beautiful Friday.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous outside.
It's amazing.
I
want to go roll down that hill, but I could do with some snow.
You want snow?
Yeah, because I still want to go snowmobiling. I feel like I missed out this winter.
Well, let's talk about it. So,
yeah.
What ABC? Who met up with Fran Gall? One of those mainstream media outlets met up with Fran Gall to talk about the day.
Yeah, so
of the trial.
CP, and it's very interesting, you guys, right? So, if you guys have seen it, I don't know if you've heard or you haven't, but so as you know, they set the date for the speedy trial for Richard Allen for May 13th.
Correct, and that's going to kick off
May 13th, but it's jury selection.
Correct.
But they kept it for...
And I heard there was 600 Allen County residents that got the questionnaire.
Absolutely. So it says 600.
So that means they just get to show up at the Allen County court and they'll say number 522.
Yeah, they'll have to go.
Come on up to the podium.
Well, they'll have to go through Voire at some point. But is there a questionnaire that you? Is there?
There was a questionnaire.
Yeah. So out of those 600, there's probably
that's
boiled down to.
That's what they were saying when we were at that last hearing.
Yeah.
She's like, hey, I took what you guys wanted to be in the questionnaire. Whatever the defense had input in, the prosecution had input. So then that's what went out with that questionnaire. And so it was sent to 600 people. And so they're going to have jury selection in Allen County on the 13th to the 16th, with the 17th being in Carroll County then to kick off day one, which is Friday.
Do you guys understand? So originally, it was slated from the 13th to the 31st. That was the block off of May, which was a block off time. Which also, keep in mind that Go loves these numbers. If people are into numbers, so the 13th, and she loves October 31st. Also, Richard was arrested on October 31st. It's very interesting if you're into numbers at all. But so what Lana just said is true. And think about this. There's Allen County, which is
where we were, Fort Wayne.
It's Fort Wayne, which is where we were. And then Carroll County, which is Delphi, the county that Delphi is in, okay? So they're going to have Allen County jurors.
Residents, yes.
Yeah, people from the county, but they're going to have the entire trial in Carroll County. And they say that the jurors are going to be sequestered the entire time.
Yeah, the entire time. So once they get selected and they have their 12 plus their alternates, they're getting on a bus and they are busing them to the hotel where they've
picked a hotel, right?
Yeah, they've already picked the hotel.
Near Delphi.
Near Delphi, yep. And they are busing them there, and then they are leaving them there for the entire case. They are sequestered. They will not be going home. They will not be seeing their families. They will be getting paid $80 a day for the first 5 days,
right,
and then $90 a day thereafter. And check this out. She is having court on Saturdays.
Unless there's religious reasoning. Someone has an objection to doing that. And usually they're saying that the court is closed on Wednesdays at noon, but that she's like, no, 9 to 5 every day.
Even on Saturdays.
Yes.
But she's only going to allow the court proceedings to go on until May 31st. I find that hard to say that it's going to end that day. I mean, the defense is putting on a third-party culpability defense. So you're just going to cut off the defense during their case in chief?
Well,
because this isn't just going to be a thing where the prosecution is going to go and then the defense is going to say, okay, well, we don't believe that they met their burden and we're just going to give it to the jury. That's not what's happening. So I just think that this is wild when you want to talk about having an ending date, because shouldn't you be consulting with the defense team to see, well, how many witnesses you plan on calling, how long are you planning on, so we can kind of give some, like a realistic time frame here. But I'm curious because I haven't done enough research to see it. Has there ever been a case where a judge has been like, listen, you need to wrap it up. I'm only giving you X amount,
Well, I think that, you kind of went over this the other day with the whole reading that whole thing that Hennessy wrote. And when he uses the word umbrage, I think that we witnessed that when we were in the courtroom. The judge does have complete umbrage, which means you take things personally and you, for lack of a better term, are basically biased. Okay,
Yeah.
so like she kind of has, and you feel it and you see the tension. And when it comes to the defense team, for, in my opinion, to Hennessy, to Baldwin, to Rossi, that was a perfect word, umbrage towards them. And I do think, and we saw it when we were in there, right? How she kind of like was cutting them off, and like we don't have all day here, guys. Like you had to have that in. Give me a summary.
I guess for me, what I saw is this, like, the state kept on saying, objection to relevancy, right?
Mhm.
That, and not even that there was like, you're not laying enough foundation. It was, no, we're objecting to the relevancy of something.
And the scope. They did those two.
Outside the scope. But
Yeah.
see, I don't think that those objections, okay, are going to be proper in when you're talking about a third party culpability defense. How are you able to object to the defense putting on their third party culpability defense? Like, how can you possibly object to that in one of the only manners that you can properly object to? You're gonna just have a standing objection to this third party, as we think is just so fucking wild. Because the point is that that's up to the jury to decide if it's so wild.
Well, can you explain to everybody when you say that? Because not everybody has researched the law in that way. What is a third party culpability defense?
Okay, that's a great, good job. Third party culpability defense is that not only are we saying our client didn't do it, okay, but we're going to sit here and tell you who we believe this third party, meaning because it's outside of the two parties, like the state, obviously, Richard Allen's the other party, but this third party is outside of somebody that's being brought on charges. So we're going to show you who it could be a single person, it could be multiple people, but who this third party is that actually committed the crimes. And we're going to show you why we believe it, but more importantly, how it was totally not investigated to even, be able to, for the state to say that that's not an option. They didn't do their due diligence. So I think that the third party culpability for actually Richard Allen in this case is actually a two-way street with, or I should say, like, it's a two-part. We're going to show you who we think based off of X, Y, and Z, but we're also going to show you that they never, that they had this information, meaning the state, meaning the prosecutor, meaning the investigators, and they didn't do anything with it, even as much so to like do enough with it that you can say that we investigated it and it led to nothing. There was nothing there. There was no fruits. It didn't
bring anything
yeah
about. But this is, again, I'll always say this, and it makes everything bizarre, right? This is Delphi. Delphi has been bizarre in the true crime world. The people who know true crime and have done a lot, like whatever they want with it. It's Delphi. It's bizarre. It's unprecedented.
But see, I agree with what you're saying. It's Delphi, but now it's on a national stage. So like, I kind of think that you can't keep saying that it's Delphi because.
Sorry, it is.
It's on a national stage.
That's not okay. Listen,
which our Supreme Court trumps anything.
100%.
That's why when I think that, like back in the day, think about this. like nobody was ever getting motions like this, and we were all reading them out loud and seeing, oh my God, truly what's going on, right?
Right.
This
100%.
is a totally different age.
Yes.
In with what we were able to do.
Yes.
And that we have these platforms because nobody was ever following cases that it was just like you would follow it once the trial started. You didn't follow the pre-trial motions. You didn't follow, even voir dire.
You didn't even know about sidebars or out of the presence of the jury and what was talked about there.
Yeah. And like even the O.J. Simpson case, everybody's tuned in for what? For just the trial.
Yes.
People there was no watching of, let's see, this pre-trial hearing for a suppression, hearing.
We moved so far past, right? So because of the age that we're in and how information travels, and also if you guys have noticed, even on the news, they'll talk about something that's breaking news and it'll be like just one day, you don't even get an update on it. So we rely on YouTube and things like that to keep us invested in cases and dig in.
I think that local people that are there and that can actually report on something, that's what we're able to rely on way quicker than even someone like Fox. They don't have all these correspondents to be at this, that, and the other. They weren't at, they would have.
We saw what happened with 2020 in the courtroom, right? And I don't want to say this blanketly, but when it started, there was a correspondent from 2020 sitting by us. And then after our break at lunch, I didn't see him again. Now, was he there? Could he have been there? I don't know.
Yeah, he could have been there, but he was not. Everybody kind of took the same spots so that they were sitting, and it was like a non-said rule that.
And there was no standing. The judge had put that in the quorum. There was no standing. He could have potentially been there, but the point being that these people have their jobs are like deadlines. They have overseers, like advertisers. They have their bosses that they have to answer to. Where that's what's amazing with YouTube and people who are local, right?
The question that's being asked in the chat. The state presents first, so the state has the burden to put on a case, their case in chief. So they will go first. And so what that means is each time that they call a witness, then after the state is done questioning that witness, then the defense has the opportunity to cross-examine and ask questions for that witness if they choose to. And then if they choose to cross-examine, then actually the state has an opportunity to then redirect direct examination. You can direct, meaning you can re-ask questions, or I guess a better way to say that is to dig deeper into questions that the defense had just asked to, I guess you say rebuttal things that they were doing. And then the defense has another recross
if they would want to.
Yes.
So it's more to get clarification.
So you can go back and forth, but it starts with the.
It will always start with the state when it's a state case versus a defendant, and the prosecution and the defense always goes second. So when the state then rests, then it becomes
after all of the witnesses that the state plans on presenting to prove their case, which is what he's being charged with, we're going to prove that beyond a reasonable doubt, Richard Allen did X, Y, and Z. And so these are the witnesses we need to prove that with. So they're going to call all their witnesses again. Those are going to be cross-examined, or the opportunity to. And then the prosecutor will say, the state rests. And when they say the state rests, that means that the defense, which I will see them probably saying that they're going to ask for a 41B to say that they didn't meet their burden. Then Gall's going to come back and say, I think there's enough evidence here. We're going to continue. And see, if I was them, I wouldn't even ask for that, because I wouldn't want the jury to hear that. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I would strategically, in this case, not ask for that.
I wouldn't either. I would just go forward and present the case, because
I don't want the judge to speak.
And it's really important for the jury to get the flavor that the defense is putting down, because everyone wants to say, people that are very pro-prosecution and don't want to look at the whole picture, and they can say that I'm pro-defense or we're pro-defense, that we're just pro the truth. If the truth is
we're pro due process.
If the truth is that Richard Allen did this,
it'll come out.
They need to prove it, and they need to prove it in the right way, and that isn't by suppression. That isn't by finagling and getting out in front of a big scandal, which on the stand when we were there, Click said where all this came from, where some of the stuff came from, and it was Nick McClellan. Like, you cannot ignore this when you're a judge and you're sitting there. You cannot ignore that when you're in that courtroom as an officer. Superintendent Carter was there, but
okay, so let's go back to like the way that this
so
the
the
trial
defense
will run.
go.
After the defense, now when the defense puts on their case, since they're doing a third party culpability, that's going to be part of it, which is why I think this is very interesting that Gall's trying to put a time cap on it, because you would need more time, because we're not just going to be putting on rebuttal witnesses to what the state put on. Like, we're not going to just put on our, medical examiner. We're not just going to put on our, DNA and then our ballistics, our experts,
our geofencing expert.
We're not just going to be putting on experts that combat what the state is saying. We actually have our own witnesses to show a whole nother narrative, to show a whole nother way that the evidence would have taken you down had they not ignored it. So that is where I'm just like, wait a second, how does Gall have the ability to try to cap something when that would totally handicap the defense because of the nature of how they plan on defending their client, which is, yeah, we're going to rebut with our experts, but more importantly, we have a third party culpability that we're going to be presenting with witnesses and evidence that was potentially buried, things like that.
Well,
so her putting a timeline on that would make it so that you can't put on, what if Nick McLeland takes 2 weeks, let's just say. What if he takes up 8-9 days?
Well, I think that there would be motions, or I don't even know, but what would happen is I would think that she would extend it, but I'm not entirely sure that she would.
I guess that goes back to my question.
Yeah.
Which is, can a judge realistically say you don't have any more time to present? Like, we're done.
The reason that okay, so as we've seen how Gull moves, is she moves under the guise of this is the law. This is how law is done. And I could see with this, and the people that say that she's right, I could see them saying, look, lawyers on both sides, the judge has other cases, and they have scrapped out this much for this trial.
No, that's like in civil. Go ahead. Yeah. Continue. I've never
saying
heard of that.
I just know how she operates because I read all the motions. That's how she operates. And I could see that would be what is presented is, look, we have other things. We carved out this amount of time for this, and now that time has come to a halt. We reached the 31st. She's going to have to do a lot more with time management when it comes to this case, because again, it's under the.
But we're talking about somebody's life here. We're talking about. I'm asking.
Under the microscope.
I'm asking. Have you ever looked it up to see if anybody has ever done this? Because I don't think that she's going to be able to say, "Hey, guess what? We're not going to get to your witnesses. So guess what? Your time's up." That's not what's happening.
She has done a lot of things that are unprecedented. She hasn't paid them for 5 months. Rossi is out $51,000 out of his own pocket. That's just Rossi himself. That's unprecedented, and it's not something that is done when you are a public defender. You don't come out of pocket, and when you do, you just tell the judge, and the judge reimburses you. You're allotted a certain amount of money.
Okay. So can Rossi sue them civilly?
Who has time?
No, I'm asking. I'm asking. Can that be taken? Like, okay, so
this is one case, and he is already out. By the time that article was written this past week,
100%.
He was already out 51, and that's just him. That's not Baldwin. That's not Hennessy. That's not everybody else. So what's going to happen here is Gall has done a lot of things that are unprecedented. So can I see her going forward and only allowing them a certain amount of time? Okay. Absolutely.
I'm saying, in my personal opinion, Gall can do whatever she wants. I think that this is going to be 100% appealable based on all Gall's behavior and actions.
Yes.
So then you have to ask yourself this.
%.
Yeah. So then you have to ask yourself this next question is, I believe it was written in a motion where it's like, is this just a trial run? Because this is all, if Richard Allen is found guilty, this is all coming back anyways.
It is. But here's the other thing that everyone needs to keep in mind. They added a couple more charges. And, at this hearing that we went to, there was, I don't have my notes in front of me, but something like, 4 other charges. And it was, they Nick took 2 of them back and went with 2 of them, okay?
Yeah, he
And
dropped
one of
3
them-
and 4, added 5 and 6.
Yes, and added 5 and 6. And those charges, one of them obviously was a kidnapping charge, okay? So I can also see if the state sees, this is just what I'm saying, I'm not a lawyer, okay? If the state sees that what's happening is they are losing on the murder charge, but they can convict on the kidnapping charge, and they see that that's how it's going with the jury. Now, mind you, Nick is allotted all the money he wants for this case. The prosecution of the state, I'll read that off in a little bit to you guys, the article about that. So he can bring in an expert to read the jury and say, hey, the body language of this juror, when you said this is what I got from it. And this is how you got to go, and this is what you got to do. And I can completely see what would happen with that is they go ahead and go with the kidnapping, and then Gull gives Alec some unprecedented, let's say kidnapping is, let's say a charge like that would be like 10 to 30 years. I could see Gull going, okay, life in, solitary. I'm just throwing it out there. I haven't looked into it in Indiana. If anyone knows, go ahead and put it in.
I would like to go back to the whole, okay, so we have this jury, they're being sequestered. That means they're at this hotel. So Allen County residents, that's going to be taking place in Allen County. Then we start in Carroll County. Now, how much smaller, like we're talking about size, okay? How big is this Carroll County courthouse compared to the Allen County courthouse that we were in? How many people are actually going to be able to have a seat in there to be able to, actually report? Because right now, Gall has denied every single media request. So I guess for me, this has been so high profile in the news for the past 7+ years, right? How the media isn't putting somebody behind this to have some fancy lawyer object and appeal her stance on stuff and take it straight to the Supreme Court. This is in the we the people have if we have an interest in something and it outweighs whatever Gall wants, it would win. And I think in the eyes of corruption and a third-party culpability defense, I think we the people, because that's danger to our children, that's danger to ourselves. Is there a way that these high-profile attorneys who represent these large media corporations write up an appeal to Judge Gall's and take it up to the next level right now? Because we need to see, this trial needs to be played for all to see. If it in fact what Baldwin and Rossi have uncovered, because there would be a lot more people that could potentially be in danger in terms of if this gets brushed under the rug.
But here's the thing that gets me, okay? When we're in that courtroom, see, before we go there, I'm always saying, when the Franks dropped, I was always like, Indiana's going to be up in arms. Delphi, Allen County is going to be up in arms. And I was really like, why aren't you guys like protesting in the streets? And then I'm over here completely pissed. Well, when we go to that courtroom and I sit there and the lady says, I'm from Delphi.
Yeah.
And Liggett would have won hands down. And I say, well, why do you think that? Like, I'm thinking she's going to be like, well, corruption, And she goes, because he's amazing, his wife's amazing, they're amazing, and we love him there. It's like, you read the Franks, you're going to be hearing this, and at the end I was looking at her to see if I could get any implication from her face that what she heard disturbed her so much. We don't live in Delphi, but like, you're living there. These are people who are among you. Mm-hmm. That at the very least, you don't have to believe the Franks, but at the very least, don't you want it vetted?
Yeah.
Don't you want it investigated?
That these people that you think are so good are covering for something.
Right.
Like, how could Baldwin and Rossi have it so wrong based upon that person's view of that human? You get what I'm saying? Like,
100%. And you guys don't understand, maybe, or you do. A Frank's motion is rare. But the one that they dropped and the meatiness of it.
Oh my gosh, the meaty
it was incredibly rare. And you can't, as an attorney, and attorneys can, but you'll lose your credibility. You cannot, as an attorney, just get up and say all these unfounded things without
and go at people
receipts.
like that. Yeah. And the other thing that I think is interesting is with in terms of this case is that everything that we heard that was allegedly not relevant, outside the scope, they're 100% relevant and in the scope come this trial. And that was your only objection then. So what's going to be your objection in court? And I think that's what it is going to be for me, is that how much are the jurors going to be able to see and hear what's, do you think that the state can the state try to suppress anything from being heard?
I don't. I think no matter what, there will be, if Judge Gall keeps on her warpath, I think that there definitely will be an appeal. I don't know if what the state can do at that point. I mean, all eyes they have done. Oh my! It's so.
You know what I wrote in?
So deep, you guys.
So yesterday, I support JLR, and I make it known that I support JLR. And I wrote in because he changed his life around, in my opinion, and I support his consistent work, his work ethic. And so I wrote in and said, hey, JLR, I know that you may think that Richard Allen is guilty, but I know that you care about our rights. Okay. And I said, I really would appreciate if you would share Richard Allen's link for expert witnesses.
Okay.
I said, it's one thing I think he's this or you think he's that, but we both can agree, JLR, that our rights are paramount.
Right.
And that nobody should be walking into a trial ever, but in this magnitude, without proper representation, proper weapons to be utilized to defend yourself against such a crazy, these are serious, I mean, it can't get any worse of allegations. And he said, in front of a 7,000 person live, and I probably shouldn't have wrote it at that time. And then I wrote him another super chat saying, sorry, yep, I didn't actually mean it. Looking back at it, I wish I would have wrote it then, but he acknowledged it and he said, yeah, Lana, let me actually look into that.
Okay.
Yes. And see, this is the guy that if you hear the media using it, they're like the person that streamed and said, Richard, why'd you do it? That's JLR's voice. All right. But this is where people need to come together and say, okay, you guys can say this man is guilty and to the day is young, but we cannot just go and stripe people of their rights before that day comes. I mean, this is the United States of America.
And that's the other thing, and that's an interesting thing that I think that these attorneys are fighting for, and I think that the state needs to understand is, if you haven't lived in a country where you don't have the freedom that we have in this country, or visited a country where you can't speak out about the government without fear of persecution, where you don't have the rights, where you can get thrown into jail for anything, prison for anything, and just speaking wrong or badly about someone in the government or a judge, you would be really hard pressed to find somebody who's been in a country like that to have any kind of I can't believe that we are okay with what is happening in Delphi. And I want to read this, Lana. So why don't you talk to everybody? I want to read, so we're on the same page. I want everyone to understand what we're dealing with when we're talking about what has happened with the money situation and these attorneys getting funding for his experts, and what this funding is actually for.
And I got more of a perspective of that with Scott Roeder when I talked to him 2 days ago. So trust me, we've been reaching out to our resources and people that we know. So for example, and I got approval to say this from Scott. Normally a retainer for something that he does is right off the bat at $7,500 just to retain, his services. Then these expert witnesses are billed at $500 per hour. Okay. So, and then I was able to talk with Micah Sturgis about doing, they need a phone expert to do the digitals, to breaking down the cell rates, somebody that actually, because you're going up against another expert, so it's CVs matter, things like that.
Right.
And with the Delphi case, what I thought Scott Roeder could really be helpful with, because he doesn't know the case at all, is the reenactment of what was in the Franks. That one person at 5'4" at that would have a very, very hard time doing what the evidence is indicative of. Okay. And so with that said, when I was breaking it all down, you're talking about 3D stuff being done. He was explaining the process of how this stuff can get extraordinarily expensive. Okay. Because he just doesn't do it himself. He has a team. He has a graphic designer. So there's parts of it that people don't even, you just see that expert testifying on the stand, and you just think that that's all that they're doing is testifying. No, there's a lot of hours that go into, obviously the autopsies. That's what, he even does. Obviously the crime scene photos to reenact all of that, to put things in place. Then the timeline. So all the material that you have to go through, we just get to see the expert testify, at a trial, but we don't really know all the behind the scenes. And that's where that expense really, really kicks in. And if somebody, and it's not just his rate, it's across the board what these experts are charging.
Well, everyone, you guys, this being in any industry you guys do and whatever work you guys do, or people that you love do if you're retired. And it's, people have to get paid in a country like, to live, right? So it's not like everyone can just donate their time. I'm going to read this to you guys now and you'll see what this is. This is an article from March 26th. And it's Delphi lawyers turned to crowdsourcing campaign to finance defense. For much of the last year, the court-appointed attorneys representing Delphi double murder suspect Richard Allen have complained in emails and motions that Special Judge Fran Gull was slow to reimburse their bills or was denying them funds to pay for expert witnesses. Now they've turned to crowdsource funding to cover their outside costs. This is a quote from somebody that I admire immensely, Michael Osbrook. It's unheard of, as far as I know, for the defense lawyers in a case as big as this would not be paid by the court, would not have their experts approved by the court, said Professor Michael Osbrook of the UI Voire Law School. It's probably a constitutional violation in motion. The site makes clear that Baldwin and Rossi are not profiting from the money raised to pay for expert witnesses. At this hour, and this is on the 26th, so I know
it's
this morning it was, is it? Oh my God, it makes me so happy. So their cap is 25. So at this hour,
they can start another one.
They should. At this hour, more than $9,000 has been raised from 155 people. So this is pretty much right in the beginning, including Terre Haute defense attorney Kay Beeler. Okay, here's what Kay says. I did that because these attorneys have been paying so much out of their own pockets all along, and it's not right, she said. It's not right, and they need support, and I wanted to give support. In a motion filed last week, defense attorney Andrew Baldwin indicated it took him several emails throughout 2023 to seek Judge Gull's final approval of his billing. You guys, these are court-appointed attorneys that can't even get the judge to approve on billing. Co-defense counsel Bradley Rossi claims he has more than $51,000 in unreimbursed fees. That's all out of his pocket, you guys. Court-appointed attorneys in Indiana make $100 per hour, out of which they may have to pay additional staff and investigator costs. Lawyers very often take a hit to do public defense work, says Osbrook, who has filed notice with the court that he has joined the team defending Baldwin and Rossi against a civil contempt complaint filed by Carroll County Prosecutor Nicholas McLeland. On top of all that, you guys, they have to hire their own attorneys because Nick McLeland filed contempt, so they have to pay for Hennessy. And so Osbrook's like,
people. You know how expensive that day was in court with that contempt hearing, and then prepping for that. Unless Hennessy said, I'll do it for you pro bono. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, that was easily a $20,000 job.
Easy. You guys,
Like,
Hennessy's no
can
slack.
can you believe that I'm over here got picked to be a public defender for a murder charge, okay? And then all of a sudden I'm being roped up in some contempt, and now I got to come out of pocket with that 51. Then on top of it, I'm hoping and thinking that Hennessy probably gave him some type of deal, but at the same time he has to,
Yeah,
he's
he
working.
has to eat too.
Yeah.
And why is any of this fair?
It's insanity.
Actually, in my opinion only, Nick McClellan paid them. You pay for Hennessy, Nick McClellan, bringing up these charges when you're the one doing all that nasty shit.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started, Nikki.
Yeah.
So okay.
But like when you think about this in the grand, like, you want to talk about money? You want to talk about putting stuff on a balance sheet? You want to talk about Excel spreadsheets? I mean, this is just.
So here's the important part of this, okay? So Osberg says lawyers very often take a hit to do public defense work who has filed the notice, okay? But I have never heard of having to go outside of the system beyond the court, beyond the local public defender office to raise money for experts. I have never heard of it. In the most recent motion for parity and resources, Baldwin and Rossi contend that Judge Gull has also turned down their request to hire expert witnesses in the fields of ballistics, confession psychology, digital data, and potentially firearms, tool marking identification, ritualistic murder, and blood pattern analysis.
That's
the only
easily
thing
a $200,000. Like, when you add up all those people right there,
yeah, but
that
keep in mind,
easily be $200,000.
Keep in mind, one of the major, I think the only thing that they contend that they have against Allen is the quote, in my opinion only,
that casing.
In my opinion only, junk science way of having a firearm tool marking identification, right? So you're not allowing them to get an expert for that? How is this due process?
Yeah, that's the one thing that's in the probable cause. The one and only thing that's in the probable cause, and we're not able to go get a junk science person. And I'm sorry, it's not a casing, guys. It's an actual, like, it's just a bullet.
It hasn't been
fired. Like, it's ammo.
It hasn't gone through. So like that does happen every once in a while. Like you'll put bullets in a gun, you don't use that particular bullet, and you can eject it out, or it can eject by accident out of the top of it. Okay.
And so with the Brian Drake case, guys, the state went and got an opinion from WSU. And they went and got an opinion from the Idaho State Lab. So 2 different labs. And guess what? Those 2 different labs on the bullet that was pulled from Brian Drake's body, they said the one lab, WSU, said it could have come from 3 different types of guns. And the Idaho State Lab said only 2 types of guns.
Right.
So there you go. The state went and got their own, and they did 2. They went and got the lab specialist for 2. And guess what got thrown into it? WSU came back and said, no, you need to throw in a 9mm with that as well. The fucking Idaho State Police Lab, they left out the 9mm gun.
So you see, like every expert isn't the same. That's what Lana is saying here is you do need your own expert. All experts aren't created
and
the same.
The state went and got 2, and that's actually, I was told, and I learned this recently, like, there's sometimes you don't want to go and get 2 experts, because if those experts don't have the same finding, you are FUCK'd.
You are FUCK'd. And there's a lot of things with law that's tricky like that, and we can go into that another time, but absolutely that is very true. Mm-hmm. Okay, so here we go.
And then I think it just comes down to how good you are and how charismatic you are on the stand to be able to handle cross-examination.
100%, yes.
Because everyone's going to have their own opinions as an expert, and you're going to have these CVs. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to come across how you
come across
to the jurors. Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to be able to explain something very rudimentary to a jury pool of laymen that don't know don't know your profession.
Yeah, and that's why I think that you should offer your services to Baldwin and Rossi to read the jurors during voir dire body language, because I think that would, like,
I'll do that.
Anybody can just play fiddle for a little bit, like.
I'll do that for free. Okay, but anyways,
that was just me giving you a plug, girl.
Thank you, love.
I'm just plugging over here.
So then he goes. So Beeler, Kay Beeler, who's an attorney from Terre Haute that gave money, she goes, it's a due process issue under the Constitution of both Indiana and the U.S. Beeler said, who testified last week in front of Judge Gull in defense of Baldwin and Rossi against the contempt charge. The defense in a criminal case has the Constitution. Listen, you guys, this is so important. The defense in any criminal case has the constitutional right and duty of lawyers to bring in everybody that counsel thinks is necessary to prepare the case for trial, to prepare and follow through with the defense of the client and ensure that they don't get railroaded or run over in a courtroom.
Yeah, so where is News Nation having, panels every day talking about this? Because this isn't just about Richard Allen. This is about us. This is about
We the people.
we the people. That's what the media was made for, you fucking motherfuckers.
This is a very frustrating case for.
And trust me, don't worry, you'll get your clicks and views. Trust me, you will get your clicks and views. You will.
Yeah.
You will. Because this is so newsworthy. Like, people, when they hear about this, come on.
And this is where we're going to be getting into what the prosecution gets. So I want you guys to understand this very clearly and see the dichotomy going on, okay? And I'm telling you guys, I don't want to stress this. Like, I don't want to make light of this. I'll say in my opinion. But
so just because a lot of people just joined us right now,
yes.
I want to talk about the beginning of what we talked about.
Sure.
So guys,
okay.
The jury selection begins May 13th.
Yes.
In Allen County. So what they went ahead and sent out was 600 questionnaires to Allen County residents.
Yes.
Those residents are going to be showing up to the courthouse in Allen County.
Yes.
Then the state and the defense
will do voir
for 3 days.
Yes.
For 3 days. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they are doing like a transport / get all set up Thursday day. And then jury instructions, stuff like that. And then on Friday, the 17th, is when opening statements go down.
And that's going to happen in Carroll County.
Yes.
So
they are sequestering this jury for the entire duration of the trial in a hotel out, like right around the skirts of Delphi.
Yes. So they got a hotel already and they are being sequestered. Now, like you heard Lana just say, Gull is also going to take, because it goes from, she has scooped out the time from the beginning. It was from May 13th to May 31st. That's how it was when they set the dates, okay? So that's still standing. It's still going to go to May 31st. And what
she thinks she's capping this mofo.
And then if you guys want to see the thing, it's in my community post. There's a video that explains all this.
We do way better job explaining though.
Yeah, I think we're good at it. Yes. But what they're doing is they are sequestering them, like Lana said, in a hotel. Now she is going to, if there's no objection, if there's no religious
this gets good.
She's going to have them go from Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m.
And she's going to have Saturdays so long as the jury is not objecting to religion based on religious beliefs.
Yes. If the members are okay with it.
The jury is actually getting paid $80 per day for the first 5 days.
Yes.
$80 per day. And that's like a substitute teacher pay, by the way. And it's $90 per day after the first 5 days. Again, that's like substitute teacher pay, which I think is actually pretty fair. Back in the day, people were getting paid like $7 and $10 and $12 a day.
I mean, and they're feeding them too,
and
they're housing them.
They're housing them, feeding them.
You're not doing. But if you're a surgeon and you get paid like thousands of dollars a day and you're a jury member, you're gonna be like, that sucks. So I guess it matters what you make.
Go
right?
get them homeless people. Come on now.
So it matters, but I think that one of the voir dire questions then is going to be. Do you have any religious beliefs?
Well, let's talk about some voir dire. Let's talk about some voir dire
on
questions.
Saturday.
I think this will be fun.
Okay, but we're still not done totally explaining it. The courthouse is also closed. Closes at noon on Wednesdays.
Okay. Yes.
But
she said, F your guys' little noonie schedule. We're going through until 5.
We're going until 5 on Wednesdays as well. But you know what?
Those government officials and workers are going to be like,
that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, it should be. Like,
yeah, let's get it done.
And talk about a dig on Delphi. Why is the courthouse Wednesday? They end their day at noon. What are they doing?
What are you guys doing? Probably Nick wants to go.
No, I was just gonna say probably. You know what's going down? Let's go and check. Let's go and check out how many crimes happen on Wednesdays. Afternoon.
OMG, yes. Okay. We need the log. Yeah, they're busy messing with the log right now. I'm gonna get rid of the log.
Okay, so basically she wants to go Monday through Saturday, 9 to 5, so long as there's no religious objections by the jurors. So I bet that's gonna come out like Bella said during Voire to ask those kind of questions, like, can you, you know,
do you have an objection working on a Saturday?
Yeah,
like till
yeah.
5? Can you touch electricity on a Saturday? Can you touch money? But you guys, here's the thing. Both sides
Now,
are given.
do you think they're gonna have their phones? Or do you think it's gonna be like that?
Girl, allow phones?
No. I mean, like the jurors, if they're sequestered, are they gonna be able to have their phones?
I think that they'll be able to have their phones.
Okay, I think that's
in the jury. No, in their hotel room.
I think that's crap.
You don't think they're gonna allow that?
No way, she can't. I think that she's gonna say, you guys have a phone to use your phone.
Oh my God!
In the hotel room.
Yes.
But we're not gonna. Yeah, there's no phones.
She's gonna have like the hotel room phone, and it's probably gonna be monitored by freaking Carol Kelly's
I think that wouldn't that make sense? We can't even be in there with.
Yes.
Why should? If she's gonna sequester the jury, like she has to unstrap them with their phones.
She has to.
And there's no way that she's not. I think that she's going to say that there's no devices, and
unless she's trying to fuck around.
And she's gonna make them walk through the metal detectors, probably of the hotel.
And
I'm not even playing.
No, I don't think you're playing at all. Because when we were going, you guys, when we went to this hearing, we read the decorum notice she put out,
and that's why I made badges for us.
And we were very serious about it, and we took it serious. We left.
Yes.
A lot of people brought phones in, like we're trying to get their phones inside, and we already had read it that they could destroy our phones.
Yeah, they could break them. They could not give them back to you.
And we had heard from.
All my nudes could be out there, guys.
My mod has gone to every single hearing out there, even all the Westerman hearings, and she said, girl, they have taken phones and been like, see you later, or not giving them back to the owner. I'm like, okay.
And then they said if you, let's say that you forget to go grab it when you leave, then that's when they really can destroy it if you don't get it the same day.
Yeah, so we knew. So, but people, if you wore steel-toe shoes, you had to take off your shoes.
Oh God, yeah, they were making people get
nude.
Yeah, almost nude. Like I told you guys, I was expecting the greatest TSA experience in my life when I went there.
She just followed the rules too much.
I know, and I didn't even get patted down, like nothing. They were like, "You're good."
We left our phones in the car, and then we didn't.
I had my badge out, so proud.
You did. She had her badge out. And,
Media, Truth and Transparency.
But then but Barbara McDonald came and went to the head of the line. I'm like, Barbara, and everyone's like, "Oh, you guys are media. Go to the head of the line." I'm like, Lana, let's go to the head of the line. She goes,
No, I said no. We are average citizens.
No,
I'm not taking no. I want no. I didn't want any. I didn't want any favoritism. If I wanted to get there earlier to be in the front row, I would have got there earlier.
Oh my gosh, and it was so stunning. So listen, we walked in with Baldwin and Hennessy, okay, and it was snowing, and they made Baldwin and Hennessy walk through the same way we did. I mean, they didn't have to wait in line, but they walked. Where Nikki.
Oh yeah, they went into a different entrance.
Nikki got to go from the back.
He likes it that way though. Moving on. So going back to here we go. So we have this sequester jury, right? There's going to be alternates. Now this is where I think it's going to get interesting. I want to have an over/under bet. How many jurors are going to get booted?
When do you want to start?
I think
when it starts. You mean?
Well, how many jurors are they going to go through outside of the original 12? And I'm going to go with the over/under being 3.
Okay, but please explain over/under to me because I don't do these sport jurors. Like, what does that even mean?
That means during the course of this trial, after they pick their 12 plus the alternates, they're all going to be sequestered. Okay. Once the trial kicks off, when opening statement starts, I think that they would have had to remove at least 3 jurors. If it's 3 or more, you would bet over.
Oh, totally over.
Or you could bet under, and it has to be under 3.
Nope, not going to be under. I would bet over 3.
Okay.
But you got to set the number.
Well, because I think that's a fair number.
No, I don't.
Because I'm going with the length of the trial.
Okay, you go.
If it was like a longer trial, I would give it a little bit more. But she wants to try to have this over by the 31st. God. You know, that's why I'm going with the 3.
I don't like your reasoning.
I'm averaging 1 per week.
You're really too reasonable, and then I have to go against your betting because we have to have a interesting
thing. So you're going over and I'll go under?
Yes.
Okay, fair. So then you should be loving it. You have really good odds.
No, I want it.
All it has to be is, if 4 people get booted, you win.
Okay, but let's do another bet.
Okay.
And say,
I bet you Richard Allen's found innocent. I'll take that bet. You want to?
I wish that I could make that bet with you, but unfortunately, be pessimistic. You don't get disappointed.
I'm going with I bet you that he's found innocent.
I don't know, but I want to finish reading this for everybody because this is the important part that I want people to know about this part. Okay, so this is about the prosecutor and how much money they've given
Oh
them.
God, yeah, here we
Okay,
go.
this is important. So County Prosecutor McLeland has virtually unlimited pool of investigators and funding to draw from in preparing for his case against Allen.
That's why I made it a big deal when I was telling people who was Nick McLeland surrounded by when I was doing the scanning of the room and I was writing all that stuff out, what they were wearing, who was around them, how many people and stuff like that. And when it came to like the defense and what they were doing, I thought that was really important because it just showed it was like literally like David and Goliath in there. It was like
It was so bad.
yeah, it was like money versus no money.
You could feel it.
You could feel it. You could see it.
Well,
and
you
I
could
really
see
wanted
good
to,
versus evil too.
I just felt like he was surrounded by all those suits, and he was surrounded by those suits that wear badges.
And they were cocky AF, in my opinion. They were all like laughing and giggling and like, did you see him do this?
They were there for a freaking like.
Did you see him do this to one of them?
KK meeting. Oh, no, I didn't see all that.
Yeah, like that's how he was like, I got this in the bag. Nikki was all like, got it.
Murky, you actually, I would love it if Nikki touched me.
Murky, what?
That's funny. Okay, so here, check this out.
Okay.
I want to talk about money. Listen to how much money the prosecution has spent.
So
to take Richard Allen, to trial, meaning who they loaded up with as far as prosecutors, investigators, secretaries, all that type of stuff. So go ahead there.
Okay, so again, I'll start. The defense motion further claims that Carroll County Prosecutor McLeland has a virtually unlimited pool of investigators and funding to draw from in preparing for the case against Allen, including the resources from 6 law enforcement agencies, 4 prosecutors.
Wait, 6 agencies, not 6 like police officers.
Yes,
we're talking about 6 different
agencies,
like with all of their people that work there. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. 4 prosecutors, 2 investigators, $1 million county budget, and raises for himself, his current secretary, and his chief deputy prosecutor, given the additional hours they're working on the case. And if you guys didn't get that, if you guys haven't seen that, if you guys haven't seen that county meeting where they talk about this, and he says, I need $10,000 more for my 2 girls that I hired, and there's women in there who are like protesting, like, who are these girls that are going to get paid more than people who are next in line to get paid this? And he's like, well, sorry, I need the money. And he's just getting like money up the yin yang.
Okay, yep, that seems fair to me. And there's just all like, yep.
And then when it comes to the defense, and they are hired by the state, you guys, because Richard Allen is not paying for
it. It's the state versus the state here.
He's marked as indigent, like he doesn't have money. And I'll read a little bit of that.
And so anybody out there that's confused, let's make sure that they're not confused. Richard Allen's attorneys were not reinstated as private attorneys. So when people think that, oh, they're getting denied all this because they're reinstated as private attorneys, wrong. Right. They were reinstated exactly how they came, which was packaged up with a little bow from the state.
Right.
Okay, these are public defenders.
Public defenders work for the state because we in America have a law that if we are going against a criminal charge and we don't have the money for a lawyer, one will be what? Appointed
for you.
Right? That is part of Miranda, right? What they read to you or whatever. Okay, so now the defense team claims it is limited to paying an assistant $15 an hour, and that an investigator working hundreds of hours since the lawyers were placed back on the case in January by the Indiana Supreme Court, countermanding Judge Gull's wishes, has not been paid. So Matt Hoffman has not been paid, and he deserves every penny. I mean, they all haven't been paid.
I mean,
but Matt Hoffman has not been paid. And here says Beeler, a fair playing field is the bare minimum in a criminal defense case, said Beeler. I cannot imagine trying to prepare a serious felony case without access to everybody I think I need. In the motion, the attorneys propose 3 potential remedies: that Gull approve all submitted and anticipated expenses and reimburse costs, that the state be prohibited from calling expert witnesses and introducing technical evidence that would require defense expert testimony. Like, hey, Judge Gull, if you don't want to pay for the defense to have expert testimony, then the state can't put on their expert testimony.
In that category, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. and this is what I'm just saying. This is a walking, talking billboard for an automatic appeal.
Or the third remedy, like, hey, Judge Gull, either approve what we're putting, which isn't even ludicrous. We're not asking for all this stuff we don't deserve. Or nobody can put on any experts because you won't give us money for experts. Or here, how about this? Or require that Mick Leland pay all similar expenses out of his pocket as the defense team claims it is being forced to do. Nikki boy, put your little Zeke butt somewhere with the right hand and get some money out of that pocket.
So think about that. Like those of you guys that are sports people, that's like saying that there's no salary cap, okay? And that the New York Yankees can continue to just pay all of these players ridiculous amounts of money when all these other small markets can nowhere afford that. And so therefore, how we can't compete with the type of contracts, so they're going to go play somewhere else, okay? That's why they have salary caps with the sports world. And people can say, "Oh, you're talking about sports." No, guess what? Sports rule this world. Sports rule the United States of America. Everybody's, trust me, your economic industry, you thrive when your sports teams are doing well. When you don't have sports teams, whether they're college based, whether they're professional based, whether they're even so much as the minor leagues, when you put sports teams in different areas, people will go out in those areas. People will come to restaurants and spend money. But can you just imagine here? There's no salary cap. Right. Who do you think? I mean, what? That's basically what's happening here. Is that the state can do whatever they want, and here you have to play with your own money, and you don't have any money. Like, that's not what the rules are. Those aren't the rules. The state is actually breaking the rules right now.
It is, and you heard Professor Osbrook, who's a law professor, very prestigious, very fair-minded, very smart man, saying it's unheard of, and in all of his years, he's never seen them go outside of the system to crowdsource for freaking funds. Like, can you guys believe this? Can you listen to what is being out there? And
you can't win without money in this case. You cannot win because you need the money in order to have the experts even being able to testify, being able to combat whatever the heck this expert's going to say. Like, people say all the time, "Oh, you're getting paid for this, aren't you? So you're just going to say whatever the heck they're paying you to say."
Right.
You hear that all the time on the stand. But here, we can't even get experts there because we have $0.
We're not, the judge is not signing off. And like you guys heard, okay, the defense hasn't been paid in 5 months. Okay.
And how could anybody that lives in the United States of America be okay with this? And that's what I just want people to share. That's what I wanted mainstream media to share. Share this, because we're not asking that you have to feel some type of way. Richard Allen can be guilty, and you can feel that way. We're talking about the process.
And you're right.
The fucking process.
And you being okay as Americans and understanding that everyone is afforded this right, because God forbid this happens to you or someone you love, and you're put in this position, you'd want everyone to fight for you this way, right? So he could be guilty. The trial will let us know about that.
Yeah.
Everything.
The evidence is going to be there, but there's a process. You don't get a different playing field.
Yes.
Okay. The state does not get to play with 100-0 lead, scoring lead.
Yes.
When you kick off the trial, that's what this is like.
So can we put the thing in chat, the link in chat, to try to get anyone who has?
Well, I'm doing that. That's
another thing. We can do it again. Keep doing it and sharing it.
Okay, so let's go back to this. We're gonna start talking about some jury questions for the Voire. Yeah. So
okay.
So what kind of questions would you think to expect to get if you got one of those 600, Allen County residents? There were 600 that were passed out the questionnaires. What are you expecting to answer after you answer that? Let's say that, okay, so you go and you show up, you get called, you're number 162. What do you think?
In Indiana?
Are you a farmer?
They're not going to be able to ask, has anybody in your family been convicted of CP? Because it's going to be like, no.
You don't think that's going to be asked?
I think that they would lose everybody if they said that. I'm sorry. Like, no way.
Yeah, so wait, you think that we can't
Kokomo, hello, Kokomo. Yes, no, I don't think that they can ask that. I
Okay,
think they can ask it, but
Where do you have a preference over Walgreens or CVS? Like, are you biased towards CVS employees for any reason? Where do you normally shop to get your
photos done?
Yeah.
Do you take pictures? Have you had an iPhone? No, I think.
What kind of phone do you have?
I think they're gonna ask.
Do you have Life 360?
I think they're gonna ask about, do you have kids? Do you have teenagers? Do you have girls? Do you have boys? Stuff like very basic stuff like that.
Have you ever been convicted of?
No, 100%. Do you work for a lawyer?
Are you related to anybody on the prosecution?
Are you related? Do you have a lawyer in the family? Do you have a judge in the family? You know, things like in the industry. Do you have a private investigator in the family?
What do you guys think? What do you guys think in the chat? What type of questions do you think would be paramount to
religion
ask? I think that's going to now be a question due to the fact that she wants to go on Saturdays. So yeah.
Religion is definitely going to be asked. It might have already had to have been asked because of the Odinism angle. And they want to know.
Have you ever been
dealing with pagans, or have you ever howled at the moon at night in a field?
No. Have you ever needed to have a public defender? Anything like that?
Sure. I like the defense obviously will have different voir dire questions in the state, but I honestly, have you ever had anyone in your family be convicted of a
deja vu? Do you watch YouTube?
Deja vu.
You think that could be a question?
Yes. And deja vu is on point with that question because absolutely with all these inserters.
Do you have to be like so specific to say like YouTube? Do you follow any Delphi? Have you ever followed any Delphi true crime groups?
Yeah, right. I think they will be like, write down your favorite genres, and then if you mention true crime or anything weird, they're gonna be like, what channels? You know, and I don't know.
Have you attended any press conferences? Have you ever walked the Moon and High Bridge? I mean, I'm just trying to spit out like
Yes.
I'm trying to think like have you ever?
Are you into bloodletting sacrifices?
Have you ever had to call the police, make a police report? Because these people then date their, like.
Have you dated your cousin?
Excuse me?
I mean, like,
no.
Yes.
But I'm talking about like think about things. I want somebody to. Okay, so let me ask maybe this in a different way. If you're the defense,
yes,
what type of a jury are you
want?
Yeah, are you going to try to impanel here?
I'm going to want to put a black jury together because of Flora.
Me too. I'm going to try to put a hell of a black jury together.
I'm going to put a black jury together, and I'm going to stay as far away from all these incestuous logs instead of trees, like these logs that are out there with McLelands.
So we're going to try to at least get like some minorities on the jury.
I would 100% get some minorities. I would be, but then every side has. Depending, but a lot of times it's 2 to 3 that you can just toss out without a reason.
Do you want like a nurse
for voir dire?
Like, who would you stay away from?
Well, 2 to 3 I can toss out without an explanation for voir dire. After that, I have to give a really good reason why I want somebody to not be on the juror, right? The jury. I would toss out anybody who had any affiliation with any of the family trees.
Would you ask anything like, have you ever gone any of the rides for Abby and Libby? Do you ride motorcycles?
Oh, well,
do you know any of the police officers?
Do you have a police officer do you have an ISP officer, Indiana State Police officer in your family? Are you related?
Do you donate to any like,
that? I want to know if their thoughts about that. I would want to know their thoughts about if they think that once somebody's convicted.
I gotta go and come back. Sorry about that. One to pop back out, come back in.
I don't know what part you guys didn't hear, but basically I would ask about what newspapers they read, what television stations and news they listen to.
Okay, let me explain. We just had to get kicked out, and now I had to just come back in. So welcome back. Okay. All right, 1 moment, please. Yep. I just had to go out, come back in. All right, we're back in action. And we're going to be rounding this out. So,
do you want me to finish?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so, and I'd want to know if they agree with if somebody is found guilty, like not found guilty, if somebody, do they believe that whatever, like a police
do you believe
officer,
in innocence or proven guilty?
Yes, do they believe in that? Do they believe whatever the news media tells them, the mainstream media tells them?
Oh, I would ask them what news channels they.
That's what I said. Yes.
What news stations you listen to?
Yes.
Do you know who Ashley Banfield is? Do you know who
Ryan?
No. That's not really who's covering it. I would ask if I want to know how they got married. Were you married by a judge? Did you get married by a judge?
Because you did good on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ask if you've ever been married by a judge, and if so, what judge? Okay. That's a very, very important question. That's how we caught the last juror.
You caught.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Don't mess. You know what, guys? I'm telling you, you're losing me my jury. I'm going to be at every day for Voire, and I'm going to know everybody that says that they're going to attempt to be a juror. I am putting Apple tracers on every car that parks in the Allen County parking lot. We're going to try.
You better not even joke about that.
You guys,
you're going to have that.
Yeah, you guys, hey, just so you know, I'm kidding. Because people can't take jokes.
People, you have to put, like, on Reddit, you have to put the /S for being sarcastic. Like, people are so serious.
It's sarcastic here.
Being sarcastic is just a joke. Don't get up in arms.
I would want people that have been arrested before. I'd want felons on my jury.
Yeah, or like second chance, or people in their family that got convicted but didn't do it.
I want a jury of all felons.
No, I want people
I'm
who
kidding, guys.
The police have wrongfully labeled or cut out.
I don't think you're gonna be able to like.
You can have a couple because.
Well, you know that the state's gonna. Oh, yep. They're gonna use their.
They only get
challenge. No, I wonder. It depends on what they agreed to.
But they're all gonna get the same amount. Now, I'd like to be there because I want to see what Judge Gull allows as void year questions.
Oh, deja vu! We had a baby. We had a baby. Go. Love it.
I love deja vu. Deja vu is here for it all the time for Delphi. A big supporter for getting justice for Delphi.
And Aliquippa.
That's
Aliquippa,
right.
Baby.
Everywhere there's justice needed. And it's really important, you guys, that all eyes are on this because, I just want to let you guys know something.
Question, what is your IQ? I want people to say, I have no idea. Anybody that would answer that, I wouldn't want on my jury.
I made a prediction and I hope that I'm wrong. So earlier this week, what ended up happening is Gull started putting on the record every time a citizen wrote her what she was calling an ex parte communication, which was a person writing her saying, Judge Gull, please reconsider and have cameras. Okay, we have now gotten 4 of these letters on the public docket, okay? And I said, why the transparency all of a sudden? It is not the first time she's been written, but now she's putting it out on the public docket. And my prediction, and I hope I am wrong, my prediction has been, it's because she has something up her sleeve. And I think what she wants to do is start sealing the public docket. And say this is why, because it's taking away from judicial economy in our time to respond to all of these.
She doesn't have, no, but you don't respond to the expert communication. The thing is, you don't have to respond. All it takes is just if you're scanning it and put that in. There's no responses.
Nobody
you don't respond.
puts that. You don't put it in.
All right. So again, we want to thank you guys for popping in for our Delphi quick chit chat here with Bella.
Thanks for having me on. Hello.
Oh, as always, we're still going to be doing that deep dive into all of the names on the appendix 1 because
really?
Well, yeah, because I mean,
I know what that is.
I called to get us some rates on those caskets. I want to prepay for my
Oh, he did it for free
for my funeral. I was trying to get a 1v1 with Leah and ask her how long she stayed with that 17-year-old, and if it ruffled her feathers.
I'm interested if the FBI
her husband's
guy,
feathers in their marriage.
I'm interested if the FBI guy with the same last name as that, the FBI Abbott, is related to Carl Abbott, and if so,
I want to know if they own Abbott Labs.
They have the funeral home, they have a lot of stuff, but it is so nefarious there, you guys. The tentacles, and I will say that the tentacles are deep in Delphi.
And please think, because when we do our next interactive, I'm doing a call-in show. Because I think Daddy Hennessy would be a great person to have a call-in show with, where you get to ask him one question, and then we just boot you from it. Like, you get one question to Daddy Hennessy, next up.
You have to talk loud, though.
Yeah, and I just want him to say to somebody, huh? Huh? What'd you say? You guys, he is the cutest little man. I heard he was on Bob Mata today.
He's amazing. Hennessy is an amazing man. He's always, his pimp hand is strong. I always call him a little pimp or a big pimpa. But yeah, he gonna lay down. That's why they call him the lead pipe. They call him the lead pipe. That's his name.
He was just on Defense Diaries. I knew it. Yes, good. Go check it out.
Yes, go see Bobby.
Yeah, he's the best. But no, anybody that's gonna fight for your rights, which is our rights, people, come on, man. I don't care what side of the coin you are. If you think someone's innocent, if you think someone's guilty, that comes second to that this is a fair trial. Okay? Fair trial. Can you put yourself, can you imagine if this was your life and you're like, wait a second, they have $2.1 million and I can't even, we're out here funding it. And to be honest with you, these mainstream media people haven't shared any of it. That should have surpassed $25,000 literally in the first hour if this was actually spread through the media. But the mainstream media people, they just talk about that there's this crowdsourcing funding. They've never once shared the link. And so this is a big, you listen up, mainstream media. Fuck you.
And then
if you asked me to work for you, I would fucking say no every single day and twice on Sundays.
Go ahead and we'll at some point be in and read the verified petition for public funds. I don't know. But he's indigent, you guys. This is what we do in our country, and he deserves all the funds. So
I think the funds, if you go to that, I think it's over 20 grand. You know, it was at 19, so, but make sure you guys thumbs it up, thumbs it down. You're gonna have an opinion if you were here on the show. So we're gonna go. Again, thank you, Bella, so much for joining. And,
thank you, LL.
Spreading the Delphi deep dive.
Always for the truth for Delphi, you guys. We got to keep fighting. This is for all of us.
Yeah. Thank you, moderators.
Thanks, mods.
Thank you, subscribers, members. Thank you, super chatters, and thank you those that our baby winner right here, Deja Vu.
We love having a baby.
It's at 22,722.
You guys, the top is 25,000. If we can get there, and this shows him.
It's allowed to go over.
This shows Alan how much support there is for justice.
And Kathy
and
his
mom.
Wife.
And it shows Baldwin, Hennessy, and Rosie how much support there is for justice, because it is just for us getting to the truth. The truth of the matter asserted.
Love it.
Thanks, subs, members, mods. Appreciate all ya.
All right, guys. Join me in just a couple hours. I'm bumping back my Kohlberger Pimpin' Live to talk about and really hone in on, you guys, I don't know what's going on with the judges, but judge doing the same shit over in Idaho that's going on in Indiana. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Until next time.